But now what I want to do is I want to move on and put my domino mortise into my rails and my stiles. And whenever I'm building a door that has a profile in it, I want to make a test cut with the domino to find out whether or not I like where that mortise is going to be. And here's an example of that. This is a test piece of with the profile with a 6mm domino in it. And as you can see, that mortise is kind of too close for me to my profile here. So I have all this extra material down here that I want to locate the domino more in the center of all this nice meat that I have here. Personally, I think that this is just too close to the top or to that profile that I have right now. And since I have all my parts cut to size with the profile in it, at this point, I don't want to have all of my domino mortises at this location just to find out when I do a glue up of a door. Maybe when I put some glue in here and I tap in that domino tenon, maybe it cracks on me. So I don't want to take that chance, okay? So what I have here is 40mm of nice solid material to work with. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to put a domino at my center at 22. When I go to put, this is a stile, and this is the area that I have to put my mortise in, my tenon into. Now when I go to do the mortise cut on my stiles, I'm going to open up the domino by one slot, which is going to open up that mortise slot by 6mm. So my thought process is that if I center it from here at 22, and when I go to center it on this one at 22, by opening it up, it's going to keep my mortise slot just a little bit away from the top and bottoms of my stiles. I'm probably overthinking this whole process because it's something that I tend to do a lot. So the pencil line represents where I want the center of my mortise, and you could just line it up here with the scribe mark that's on the bottom of the domino. So that's all I did, is I lined up the two marks, and I took a rule and I measured over to the inside edge of the pin, and for me it's 14mm. So just like Norm does with a lot of his projects, I made a jig. So here is the jig, and since I know that I need a piece that's 14mm thick, my pin on the domino is going to reference off the outside here, and that will then place the center of my domino exactly where I want it. The Kreg clamp is going to go through the back. Put the bench dog from underneath the table and just tighten it up. So when I put my bench or my Festo elements in there, I'm all set and ready to make that plunge. So as you can see, I went ahead and I installed the dummy plate. My space is the exact thickness of the cutter, and I'm using a 20mm deep plunge. Now my pin is going to reference off my 14mm spacer. The dummy plate, it's going to reference off the top of my workpiece. So you can see that it puts my domino tenon right into the middle of that meat that I want. And that's it. I just have to do that to all my rails. All the domino mortises are cut in my rails, so now it's time to move on to the stiles. And just like with the rails, I want to add a 14mm spacer down here at the end so everything lines up for me. So I made another jig. Well, let me explain this guy to you. As you can see, I got a lot of holes in here, and I've used this thing a couple times for my stiles. Again, I have a piece that is 14 millimeters wide secured to the side, and I have a piece that's 14 millimeter wide space over here. But I just have one screw on it so it could swivel, get out of the way, so I could slide my pieces in and out real nicely. So I'm going to use the front roll of holes here, and this middle one is going to get the Craig clamp. And then I have the clamping elements here, and this set of holes is going to act as a stopping point for me, and it's going to make sure that my stile sticks away from my jig just enough and ensures me that the domino machine is going to go up against my working piece. Now if I go and I clamp this in place, and if I'm running the machine and I go to plunge, you can see how this could still move pretty freely. Which is why I use these guys, because they line up with the holes on the end, and now it's not moving anywhere. And the reason why I did the one screw down here is it can move in and out of my way. So when I want to bring and introduce a new piece to the jig, clamp it down and it's going to slide in. And when I go to set the domino on here, the pin's going to go against this 14 millimeter spacer. I'm just going to make sure to put enough pressure inward so that I get the right spacing. So the mortise slots are cut in the rails and stiles. Time to move on to the panels. Now I have these little bench dogs, and I know you guys are going to ask me where I got them. The only information I can tell you about these, they're made by Black & Decker. I got them from an outlet store. I don't know where else you can get them, so Google it.